Let's talk frugal living with disabilities. Hi everyone, welcome back to Budget of Oz. My name's Sarah, a disabled low-income budgeter, and today I want to have a chat about frugal living with disabilities. If you've been here on my channel for a while, you've heard me say that my health and my disabilities are the most expensive thing in my life, cost me the most, and therefore in the zero balance budget method and the cash stuffing method is something I prioritize the highest. It has its own binder, which we'll go through, and it is something that's quite confronting because of it. I'm not going to go in and talk specifically about my diagnoses or my illnesses or how they affect me day to day, but suffice to say, I live with multiple chronic illnesses that disable me to the point of dysfunction. I have multiple mental illnesses. I'm neurodivergent. I always like to say I have kind of the unholy trio. Neurodivergencies, mental illness, physical disability. I say it as a joke because I find it's very much dark humor, which you do have. It's very dark humor, but we have a bit of dark humor in the disability community. The reality is, if you've been following along with Savemus, my biggest income source is my disability support pension. Without that, well, I'd literally have no income to be able to support myself and, survive. But also, it's not a lot, and you've got to make it work. So that's why I turned to this system. I saw a lot of people being able to do amazing things with their money, but I also saw there were only a few voices on the low income side of this. There were only a few Australian voices when I started. Caro Cash being someone I looked to. Two Sister Bees was someone who I looked to in terms of the low income side of it. But there was no one here to talk about disability and health concerns and how to budget for those. In Australia, we do have a universal healthcare system, but for those with chronic illnesses and disabilities, a lot of the time we have to pay more to get the support we need. And a lot of the time, that costs a lot of money. But even the cost of buying our scripts every single week or month for those on low income can be a lot. So I'd like to kind of shine a light on that and show where we're saving and putting money and how quickly that money disappears real damn quick. So yeah, that's very much a part of what I do. So how do I make the system work for me? Well, the first thing is I had to be realistic with what categories I was putting money towards that related to my disability, related to health, to create my disabled life binder. And one of the biggest ones, put this to the side for now, was my medications. As you can see, my medication one goes in and out between my sinking funds binder and my wallet a lot, because I have to go to the pharmacy a lot. And just happened that I had to go to several pharmacies because one of my S8 medications they didn't have, but I had an e-script for, so I had to hunt around to find a pharmacy who had that because the supplies are low, and that took me half a day. And sometimes you have to do that too. So sometimes that's fun, all the extra little burdens. But typically I will keep medication in here, but it comes out when I have to go get my meds. So I had to be honest about the costs, and I was realistic about it. And this binder covers everything I feel is an everyday or a frequent expense because of my disability, except for health insurance, which I consider a bill. In Australia, to get private psychiatric health insurance cover, you have to get the highest level of hospital cover and the second to highest extras cover. So I have really good health insurance, but I have to pay for it. So that's a bill. It's actually my most expensive bill I have. So if you've been here all through Savements, or if you want to catch up on the budget with me, I'll leave a playlist there. You can see that my health insurance is the most expensive bill consistently. So this is everything else other than that. So kind of wanted to talk you through what they are. So medications, I like to think this is fairly self-explanatory. This is for all my medications that are both scripts and over-the-counter meds. And this is something that at the moment I've reached the PBS threshold, but that's only for some of my meds because some of my meds don't count, and so I'm still paying out of pocket. And I'm trying to get this back up to 150, but we didn't succeed. So, but we got close, so that's okay. Ideally, I like it to be back up to 150 for the beginning of the year, but I think it was, but then I had to go get, as I said, I went and got meds the other day, so is what it is. Now, carers. I get NDIS carers, which I'm immensely grateful for. However, that does mean a few things. I don't want my carers to have to go out of pocket if they're caring for me in a situation where it's kind of socially acceptable that they join in the activity. So, for example, if they're taking me to the movies, or if they are taking me out to eat, or things like that. I don't believe in them going out of pocket for that, so I budget and put aside money so that I can pay for them. Now, I don't have to do this because technically they don't have to, as carers, they just support me getting to the activity. They can stand to the side and wait. And that's technically true. But part of my thing is that I want support in social situations, so I very much sometimes want them to participate because it makes me feel like I need the support like next to me. So yeah. Doctors. So I do have private health insurance, but there are excesses, and on top of excesses there also is the factor of normal doctors. So I went to rheumatologist. I went to their rooms because the public system is 4 years waiting, but if I went to his rooms it was only 6 months. So I had to pay out of pocket, which means I'm actually going to unstuff this, and I have to unstuff, let me think, I think I've got to unstuff 200 from this, which is great because Medicare gave me some rebate on it, which I was very happy about. So I do still have some money, which does make me happy. I thought it would be more, but I forgot that Medicare does give you money back, which is good. You do get some money back from Medicare. Again, we do have public healthcare system here, so because it was a public specialist that I saw, I did get a significant amount back, which was good. Then we have mental health and physical therapies. Physical therapy, these are things that I add money to that I additionally want to save money for, so I can get additional therapies myself, or I can purchase something that is beneficial for my mental health or my physical therapy or physical health. The health insurance and the NDIS do not cover what I need. They don't cover, soothing things. They don't cover sensory objects. They don't cover physical devices to help me strengthen my hand. This brace, for example. So I have these two to help save up money for those things. So, I'm going to want to get another one of these braces probably in the first quarter of next year. So the physical therapy one will be pretty much, I already know I'm going to save up for another one of these. These are the only braces I know that really work for me, and they're about $40. So that's what that's going to. For mental health, I've been finding that de-stressing for me has been really useful with Lego, and I don't know why that has been very helpful for me, but it has been very helpful for me. So I'm gonna save up and get me one of those big Lego sets again that I can do slowly to help me when I'm anxious and stressed out. Again, these are just things to help in these categories that are not covered anywhere else, because they're not, but they kind of help me function and live. So that's really important. And I do consider this different to medical equipment. Medical equipment is things like crutches, wheelchairs, shower chairs, lifting devices. I had to have a medical recliner last year to come home because I was recovering from a massive thing where I almost lost my leg, and the only way that they'd let me come home was if I could elevate my leg to a laying position for 20 hours a day, which required a medical recliner, because I do not have a recliner, so I had to rent one. And so this is for those things, those kind of medical equipment. As I said, wheelchairs, and, you know, when you're really not well, this is what that's for. I consider wrapping tape and braces, while they are technically medical equipment to help me survive, I kind of consider them more physical therapy because they're everyday. However, if I do run out or I really do need a new one of these and I don't have enough, I will sometimes pull from the equipment or pull from the buffer, because sometimes I just don't have enough here and I don't have the tape I need, and it's kind of like an essential that I have it. So yeah, there are lots of little things that you need that aren't paid for, and you have to pay for them. And so when I was creating these categories, I'm like, okay, I need to have money put aside for crutches or for wheelchair. And the fact that I had this put aside last year meant I could actually get a wheelchair when I needed it. So I rented one, but it meant that I could afford it. So yeah. Hospital Acccess, as we've been talking about, if you've followed along with my cash stuffing, insurance every year is $500 for me to basically go to hospital, be an inpatient. I know I'm going to be in hospital over Christmas and New Year, which means that on the 1st, I'll have to pay my Acccess. Since the 1st last year, I have been saving up for the Acccess for 2025, and we already have some money in here to save for 2026. And it's that simple. I know that bill is coming. I know I'm probably either going to access hospitalization or hospital rehab day programs every year. So I know this cost, and we sink money into it every year to pay it out. That is why I pay a lot on my health insurance. But this is what we do. This is what gets done. And yeah, this is a kind of an essential. And then we have the medical buffer. And this is basically my buffer for any of these not having enough money, or if there is something crazy that I have not thought of, which did happen. It did happen this year and the end of last year. So anything that was an expense related to my disability that I haven't considered. And as I said, I'm not going to go into the details, but yeah, that did happen, and having that, we did empty that, but we still had money in here. So sometimes the medical buffer does get drained. Yeah, that's what it's like sometimes. But the whole point of it is that we have that there. We have that there as our buffer, as our emergency. And when we needed it, it was okay. So that was good. Yeah. All right. So that's kind of my disabled life binder. Creating these categories and knowing what I needed money for in terms of my disability was really confronting. And it is confronting. Every budget seeing that I have to put money away for for these specific things. Like, I have to, every pay, there are things in here that have to get money. My medications have to get money. The hospital Acccess has to get money. Doctors have to get money. If those don't get their money, I'm essentially screwed. And then I do also need to prioritize above anything else, everything else in here. I will put money into everything else in here before I put anything into these three sinking funds. Not high priority, but these three. Because this is the most essential thing in my life. And that's really hard because, as anyone knows, if anyone knows mental illness, they tell us that we are not our disease, we are not our diagnosis, we are not our illness. But when it comes to budgeting, I've got a whole thing that says I am. And that's really, really hard. But having this has allowed me to both confront the challenging nature of my disabilities and live with them. And know that it is hard, but give me space to accept that. And every budget and every time I cash stuff that, I'm like, yep, this sucks. And I acknowledge it. You hear me acknowledge it. I acknowledge it and then I move on. And so it's helped my mental health immensely. But also having the finances there, pretending it's not there and not having the finances, which is what I would do for years, doesn't help. So doing cash stuffing on disabilities, it helps you plan for the future and make sure that you're aware of the cost, the actual costs of things. And for me, it's helped me come to terms with and accept. It sucks. And I say it all the time. But you can live with it and you can manage the finances of it. It's hard and it sucks, but this has helped me a lot mentally. And I wouldn't take that back for the world. So I hope this is useful to someone. I don't even know. I couldn't do Save without doing something on disabilities and the system. I just felt like it would be a lie if I did, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I hope this was helpful to someone. All those who've been here since the beginning, you know I want a green heart in the comments down below, because that makes me happy. You can find me everywhere on the internet. I'm just at just at Budget of Oz everywhere. As I said, this is a Save Miss video. We're getting close to the end, guys. And there will be a link to the playlist at the end of the video. Any questions, please put them in the comments. I am happy to answer whatever question you have. And because it's like getting, almost time for Christmas, put some like Christmassy decorations in the comments below. Let's see how many we can get. But as always, I'm so glad you're here. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much.